Welcome to another episode of Uncoded Beauty. In this series, I like to talk about art history while I do my makeup, and it's called Uncoded Beauty because it was inspired by irresponsible use of AI for art, and it doesn't seem like enough people appreciate art history in the first place. Why not just talk about all the artists that I love and share it with you? Speaking of AI, there's one industry that I feel like is using AI so much, and that's advertising. So today we're going to be talking about A.M. Cassandre, somebody who revolutionized advertising. And Cassandre is actually the pseudonym for him. His full name is Adolphe Jean-Marie Mouron. Cassandre's family actually went back and forth from Paris to Ukraine quite often. Due to the extremely tense political climate going on in Ukraine at the time, they relocated to Paris permanently. After studying painting in École des Beaux-Arts, Cassandre now has to start making a living. Roaring 20s, this was after World War I has ended. Everyone wants to put the dark days behind them. They want to live life to the fullest. Cassandre first started making art in a period called Art Deco. He takes on poster artwork by the name of Cassandre, and in 1923 he finds instant success. If you compare the elements of Au Boucheron to the previous poster design, directly before the Art Deco period was Art Nouveau, and Art Nouveau was very ornate and decorative. This is a complete diversion away from that, and it drove a new aesthetic to the advertising industry. His posters show all of the influences in Art Deco: Cubism, Futurism, Constructivism, and even the waning moments of Art Nouveau, stylized curves. He worked with stencils and airbrush and was an extreme perfectionist. He's especially known for all of his travel posters. One of the best examples of his genius and perfectionism is the Dubonnet poster. The Dubonnet poster actually goes horizontally. He designed it so that people could see it and understand it when they were in fast-moving vehicles. No one was doing this at that time. He was thinking ahead. Dubo, Dubon, Dubonnet, play on words in French. It's nice, it's good, and Dubonnet, which is the name of the wine. He also shows as the glass empties into the man becomes full color. He's filling himself up. It is such great design. Not everything was extravagant and easygoing for him. Actually, the Roaring 20s had a sudden halt. The economic state of the US and the crashing economy over there had a lasting impact globally. France also suddenly entered an economic recession. The studio that employed Cassandre went down. He was also teaching somewhere, and that went bankrupt as well. Of course, when you're at the peak of your career and suddenly things come to a halt, it can get really scary. Unfortunately, he also lost contact with his best friend. His friend just disappeared. Cassandre, going through a very tough time, would pivot his design work a little bit. Inspired by film and the stylized characters of the Technicolor animations from Disney, he would zoom in a lot more, he would crop in. A different charm, but you can still tell it's Cassandre. His name traveled far and wide and even reached the United States. Harper's Bazaar wanted him to do their covers. Ended up spending about 2 winters in the US. And around this time, he was also trying to get into what he thought was his higher calling, which was painting, because of course he did go to school for that, and it seemed like he had a passion for it, more so than the commercial art. To him, commercial art serves somebody else's purpose, which is true, but it doesn't mean that his work wasn't as important just because of that. But I feel like he felt that way. So dedicated to his art, he was well known as a workaholic. It's not clear around what time he did, but he did use amphetamines to keep up with his work. His work in the States were primarily, of course, the Harper's Bazaar magazine covers, as well as the Ford campaign, Watch the Fords Go By. Cassandre's time in the States was not as fulfilling as he wanted it to be. Cassandre comes back from the States and ended up divorcing his first wife, and there's not a lot of information on why, but of course it could be because war. 1939, he receives the call to serve in the military because, of course, this is World War II. 1940, he comes back to a Paris that's under Nazi German rule. Coming back from service, Paris was a completely different place. Cassandre would be requested to do an haute couture stand at a propaganda exhibition, whatever that is. I can't find what he did, but it was very clear it was just propaganda. The highlight of the exhibition was supposed to be the luxury French brands. Looking on the positive side, Cassandre considered this to be a potential new beginning for him to pursue his painting career. However, during an exhibition of his paintings, he was not met with good feedback. No longer doing poster work, he did do set designs for theatrics and plays, costume design, and even worked with Hermes. He created these beautiful playing cards and this silk scarf. He was going through a very tough time with his identity as an artist, lack of work coming in, financial difficulties, second divorce. He wanted to find a new beginning elsewhere, so he relocated to the countryside. And being the master designer that he was, because he made 3 different typefaces, he was approached by the co-founder of Yves Saint Laurent, Pierre Berger, to create the logo for the upcoming designer Yves Saint Laurent, which is still used today. And it said he only did 1 submission for the logo, which is this YSL overlaid monogram, and it was perfect. It does not end here because he also also created the acronym for Christian Dior. Had Berger not mentioned this, you and I probably would not have known this. As he was reflecting on the YSL logo, Berger mentions that Cassandre was the greatest and the best graphic designer of his time. Unfortunately, Cassandre's depression only got worse, and his health seriously declined after his first attempt before his decision to pass in 1968. Cassandre's career had so many highs and lows. Intensely at that, he went through politically tumultuous times, which was constantly affecting his work. He was a perfectionist, and he sought to be the master at everything that he did. He cared about his art so much, almost to a detriment. I think everybody in the world would agree that he is one of the master designers, completely revolutionizing how people see advertising. He's always thinking ahead, a great painter, and a great designer. Hope you like this one, and I hope you learned something new today. I actually had the opportunity to go to a private collection. During my studies for an art history class, there was this couple that had a home, I almost feel like exclusively to house all the prints they had of Cassandre. The entire house, I think it was like 2 or 3 floors, was years ago, and I don't want to post it here because I think it's kind of a privacy issue because it's their home. But what I will say is that his work is even more impactful in person. So beautiful, especially to see them all together as a collective. I will never forget that opportunity, and I thank them every day that I was able to see that. They took our whole class, and I think our professor actually was the one who arranged everything, so I thank him too. Hope you have a great day or night wherever you are. Bye!